Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing very well. So I am a digital science mentor and today we are going to start our new chapter, chapter number 12, that is friction. You must have seen that the ball rolling on the ground stops after some time. Why does this happen? You must have wondered why is it that we find it difficult to walk on a highly polished surface, or why is that a vehicle slows down when brakes are applied. The stopping of ball or slowly down of a vehicle must be due to some force acting on the objects that is opposing their motion, and this is the force of friction. So now let's see what is the force of friction. The force acting along two surfaces in contact which opposes the motion of one object over the other is called frictional force. It always opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces. Friction always acts in a direction opposite to the direction of motion if a force is applied. Along the left, friction acts along the right and vice versa. In both cases, friction opposes the motion. So now let's see the causes of friction. Frictions between any two surfaces is caused due to no solid surface is perfectly smooth. There are large number of irregularities present on the two surfaces in contact. Some are more rough than others. In other words, all solid surfaces are rough. Only the degree varies. When an object moves over another surface, the irregularities in the two surfaces interact with each other and oppose the relative motion between the two objects. Since a rough surface has more irregularities, the force of friction is greater if the surface is rough. Thus, friction is caused due to interlocking. Remember that, due to interlocking of irregularities in the two surfaces. So here you can see the picture in which you can see the force of friction and force. And in the second picture you can see that surface irregularities, that is magnified view. So now when two rough surfaces come in contact with each other, there are few places where the two surfaces meet. The atoms or molecules present at the contact point attract each other due to electrostatic force. It is this force of adhesion which opposes the motion of the two objects. This gives rise to frictional force. So now let's see factors affecting the force of friction. The force of friction is dependent on, first is the smoothness or roughness of the surface in contact, and second is the force of friction is directly proportional to the weight of the object which moves on a horizontal surface. So now let's see kind of frictions. So there are three kinds of friction. They are static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction. So first we will see static friction. Static friction comes into action when we try to move an object which is at rest. In other words, when we increase the applied forces, the force of friction also increases and body remains stationary. Thus, the static friction is a measure of the force required to overcome friction to start moving an object at rest. So I hope you have understood what is a static friction. So now let's see sliding friction. The force required to keep an object moving with the same speed is a measure of sliding friction. Sliding friction is slightly less than the static friction. This is the reason why it is easier move a box which is in motion than to move one which is at rest. So now let's see the next type of friction, that is rolling friction. The force of friction offered when an object on the surface of another object is called rolling friction. Rolling friction is lesser than sliding friction. The friction offered by rolling marble is an example of rolling friction. Do you know why is it easier to pull a suitcase having wheels? This property is used in the making of ball bearings. Here you can see the first picture which is showing wheel makes it easier to pull a suitcase. And in the second picture you can see that balls bearing reduce friction. So now ball bearings reduce friction, as you know that they are used in machines when rotatory motions is required. Small metal balls are placed between moving surfaces to reduce friction. Examples: use of balls bearing between hubs and axles of ceiling fans and bicycles. So now let's see the activity. Let us now, with the help of this activity, see that rolling friction is less than the sliding friction. So take 3 cylinder pencils and place them on the edge of the table, parallel to one another. Place a book over the pencil as shown in the figure. Here you can see the figure. The pencils act as rollers. Now push the book. What do you observe? The books move easily. You can see that the pencil rolling as the book moves. Now remove the pencil and slide the book. Do you have to use more force? From the above activity, it can be easily concluded that rolling friction is less than sliding friction. Air exerts frictional force on objects moving through it. Similarly, water and other liquid also exert force of friction on objects moving through it. The frictional force exerted by fluids, that is liquid and gases, is also called drag. The force of friction between a solid and a fluid is less than that between two liquids. The frictional force on an object in a fluid depends on: first is its speed in comparison to that of the fluid, second, shape of the object, and the third is nature of the liquid. You have studied in the previous classes that fishes and birds have streamlined bodies. This shape offers least resistance to friction, and thereby birds and fish lose less energy. Taking a clue from this, the scientists have also streamlined the bodies of aeroplanes, ships and boats. Here you can see the picture, which is similarly in the shape of an aeroplane and a bird. So now let's see the next topic: friction, a necessary evil. Friction causes a lot of energy to be wasted. It is due to friction that moving parts of machine and automobiles heat up. When you rub your palms vigorously together, you must have seen heat being produced. This is due to friction. Can you give a few examples where friction produces heat? When a mixer runs, the jar becomes hot. Heating results in a waste of energy as well as fuel. Friction also causes wear and tear of moving parts of a machine, but on the other hand has a lot of advantages. We are able to walk, run, play, etc. due to friction between the ground and the soles of our footwear. This is the reason why patterns or grooves are made on the soles of shoes to increase friction. This prevents a person from slipping. Here you can see it is due to the friction between the road and surface of tire that you are able to drive safely. If there was no friction, automobiles could not be started or stopped or turned to change direction of motion. If there was no friction, automobiles could not be started or stopped, turned to change direction of motion. You are able to take a knot or fix a nail on the wall due to friction. Here you can see the picture in which you can see that nail fixed on a bolt due to friction. Here you can see the picture which is showing nail fixed on a wall due to friction. Without friction, you will not be able to sit on a chair or write or construct a building. You will also not be able to hold on to things if a vessel is greasy or has a film of oil on it. It is difficult to hold it. Can you now guess why is it easier to write on a plain paper than on a glazed waxed paper? Therefore, we can conclude that friction is a necessary evil. So now let's see the next topic, that is ways to increase and reduce friction. As you have just seen that friction is useful in some situations. So now let's see ways to increase friction. Soles of the shoes have grooves so as to provide shoes better grip on the ground. Tires of automobiles have treads which provide a better grip with the ground. Here you can see the picture of tire. The brake pads lining in automobiles are made rough. These brake pads do not touch the wheel when you ride a bicycle, but when brakes are applied, they arrest the motion of the rim due to friction. Wrestlers and kabaddi players apply soil on their hands for better grip of their opposition due to friction. Similarly, gymnasts also apply coarse powder before performing. So now let's see ways to reduce friction by applying oil or grease on the surface. When you apply oil or grease between the moving parts of a machine, a thin layer is formed between two surfaces, and as such, the two surfaces do not directly rub against each other. The movement between smooth as interlocking of the two surfaces is avoided to a large extent. The substances which reduce friction are called lubricants. So now examples: applying oil on the hinges of the door, or oiling a sewing machine, applying grease on the moving part of a motor or bicycle. So here you can see the picture, that is action of lubricant. Do you know why we tend to sleep on a floor if oil or soap solution has been split on it? Now let's see, by using wheel ball bearings. Ball bearings change sliding friction to rolling friction. The forces of friction when a body is rolled on a surface is much less than that when pushed on a flat surface. Small metal balls made of stainless steel, brass, or ceramic are placed between moving parts to reduce friction. Now let's see, by sprinkling a soft fine powder on the surface. This is the reason why talcum powder is sprinkled on carom boards and a graphite powder is applied to the moving parts of a machine. Now let's see, by polishing surface. Polishing the surface helps to smoothen rough surfaces, thereby reducing frictions. And the amazing fact is that, remember one thing, friction can only be minimized but not entirely eliminated. That is, it can never be reduced to zero. So now I hope students you have understood these topics. So now let's wrapping it up. Let's see some points. Friction always acts in the direction opposite to the direction of motion. Next point, the smoother the two surfaces in contact, less is the force of friction between the two. Next, there are three types of friction: static friction, sliding friction, and rolling friction. Static friction comes into action when we move an object which is at rest. Sliding friction is the friction when a body slides over another surface. Sliding friction is less than static friction. Rolling friction comes into action when an object rolls over another object. Rolling friction less than sliding friction. And liquid and air also offer frictional resistance to objects traveling through them. It is called fluid friction. Next, friction is sometimes undesirable as it produces heat and causes a lot of energy and fuel to be wasted. We can reduce friction by use of lubricants, ball bearings, polishing the surface, use of fine powder between two surfaces. Fluid friction is also called drag friction. So now let's see some keywords. The first keyword is friction. Friction is the force which opposes the motion. Static friction. Force of friction between two surfaces and balances the force applied on the object to push it. Next, sliding friction. Sliding comes into play when one body slides over the other. Next, streamlined. It is the shape of the body which is narrow in front and sloping. From slides, fish and birds' bodies are streamlined. So that's all for this chapter, students. I hope you have enjoyed this chapter. So now I will meet you in the next lecture with a new chapter. Till then, revise this chapter and keep learning. Thank you.